All right, I've got a fascinating scientific paper for you today that asks a question that sounds, well, a little nuts. Could putting Batman on a subway train actually make people kinder? It turns out researchers have a pretty surprising answer, and they call it the Batman effect. I know, it sounds like the beginning of a joke, right? But think about it for a second. Could this simple, bizarre sight of a superhero on your daily commute actually change your behavior? And not just any behavior. Could it make you a better person, more likely to help out a complete stranger? Well, believe it or not, that is the exact question a team of psychologists in Milan, Italy wanted to answer. And they didn't do it in some stuffy lab. Nope. They took their experiment out into the real world, the crowded, bustling Milan metro system. So, what were they actually trying to measure on this subway? The whole study really centers on this one key idea: pro-social behavior. That's the official, kind of fancy term for any action you take, totally voluntarily, to help someone else out. You know, giving up your seat, holding a door open, helping somebody pick up their dropped groceries. It's the little stuff that, honestly, makes society work. Just think about your own commute for a second. We all do it, right? We put on our headphones, we stare at our phones, we basically create this little personal bubble to just get through it all. The researchers wondered, what if we could just pop that bubble? Could one totally weird, unexpected event shake people out of that autopilot mode and make them actually notice the people around them? Okay, so how in the world do you actually design an experiment to test for a Batman effect? Let's get into the nitty-gritty of how they set this whole thing up. The setup was just brilliant in its simplicity. Here's how it worked. In what they called the control group, an actress who appeared to be pregnant would get on a packed train. Then hidden observers would just watch and record if anyone offered a receipt. Pretty standard stuff. But then came the experimental group. It was the exact same situation with one absolutely bizarre twist. At the same time, a man dressed in a full Batman costume would board the very same car, but from a different door. And listen, they were super rigorous about this. This wasn't just some casual people watching. For an observation to even count, the train car had to be completely full, no empty seats. The test only lasted for the time between two stops, so just a few minutes. And here's the clever part. If someone did offer up their seat, an observer would discreetly pull them aside for a quick interview. They did this over and over again, 138 times to be exact. So that leads us to the million-dollar question, right? Did it actually work? Did a random appearance from the Caped Crusader inspire real acts of kindness on an Italian subway? All right, let's get to the results, because trust me, this is where things start to get really wild. The results were, honestly, they were stunning. Without Batman on the train, someone offered a seat about 38% of the time, which is, pretty good. But when Batman was on board, that number skyrockets to over 67%. The difference is just massive and totally statistically significant. To put that another way, the odds of someone doing the kind thing and offering their seat were more than 3 times higher when Batman was just there. That is a crazy powerful effect for such a weird, subtle change. But believe it or not, these incredible numbers, they aren't even the most shocking part of this study. The real head-scratcher is why this worked at all. So remember how they interviewed the people who gave up their seats? Well, when they talked to the helpers in the Batman group, they discovered something absolutely mind-boggling. A huge chunk of them never even consciously realized they had seen a man dressed as a superhero. I mean, just look at this breakdown. Of all the kind people who helped out when Batman was on the train, a staggering 44%, nearly half, reported that they did not see him at all. They did something nice without even knowing what prompted it. So, what on earth is happening here? I mean, how can people be influenced by something that they don't even remember seeing? This is the absolute core of the mystery, and the answer gets into some really cool psychology about how our brains work when we're not paying full attention. So the researchers floated a few different ideas. The first one is simple. It just breaks our routine. Seeing Batman is so weird, it yanks our brain out of autopilot and makes us more aware of everything. The second idea is called a superhero prime. Basically, the symbol of a hero subconsciously nudges our brain to think about helping others. A third possibility is something called the peak technique, where any bizarre event can make us more agreeable. And finally, it could be a kind of social contagion. Maybe a few people notice Batman. They look around, and that new alertness spreads through the car like a wave, influencing even people who never saw what started it. So, okay, beyond this just being a really fun and, frankly, kind of weird study, What can we actually take away from all this? I think the big takeaway here is that kindness might be something we can actually engineer. These small, positive, unexpected disruptions to our day can literally snap us out of our selfish bubbles and make us more tuned in to the people around us who might need a hand. And this isn't just a fun little factoid. The authors suggest this could have real-world applications. Imagine urban planners or policymakers using this idea, putting up surprising public art, organizing flash mobs, creating little moments of unexpected joy, designed not to sell you anything, but just to break the monotony and make our public spaces feel a little more human. And that really leaves us with a final thought to chew on. You don't need a cape and a cowl to do this. What small, positive, unexpected thing could you do in your day to disrupt someone's routine for the better? You might just create your own little Batman effect and make the world around you a slightly kinder place.